is Andrew Garfield's his second one, The Amazing Spider-Man, with Mr. James Gandolfini. Yeah, and he has the rhino, and they put him in the rhino thing, and he's supposed to be this big bad kid, but it's James. It's just Gandolfini. He's supposed to be having wine country with Shooter McGavin at some point. But yeah, I couldn't get behind James Gandolfini as
luckily he's not a huge welcome to Voice Crack City. I'm the mayor.
Yeah. Welcome.
Luckily he's not a big part of that movie.
No, he's not. But like, he's supposed to be a very important character.
The rhino,
an arc, yeah, the rhino, right? Exactly. I just couldn't get behind it. I was like, there's so many other people you could have thrown in there, but James Gandolfini, yeah, I own.
This is bizarre.
I'm the maintenance guy, and there's a lady in the water in the pool. She keeps swimming in there. Sorry, that's my James. That's my Jim.
I was hoping so.
Yeah. Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg.
Race cars, lasers, aeroplanes. It's a duck blur. Might solve a mystery or rewrite history. DuckTales, woo!
I think we all hit different notes on the woo.
Tales of daring and DuckTales, woo!
I'm not
There's
at all.
stranger out to find you.
The danger lurks behind you. There's a stranger out to find you. Tell me on and get onto those knock nails. Woo!
There it is. I was on pitch that time. I got in the falsetto and I hit the note in the voice.
You know,
welcome back.
You know who crushes that song?
Who?
Brandon Urie.
Sorry, I need to know.
The guy from Panic at the Disco.
Okay, thank you. Yes, he does. Yeah, Brandon Urie. Sorry.
It's one of my favorite vines ever.
What?
There's this kid and he's like, 911, what's your emergency? He's like, there's a shooter at the prom. Okay, calm down. We don't want to panic at the disco. And he looks right at the camera like,
That's terrible.
There's a shirt that says that where they're like, or it's like different greetings now to do. When someone's like, hey, how's it going? And you're like, same shit, different day. You're supposed to say, same panic, different disco.
Different disco. That's right. Welcome back to Nostalgialand.
Thank you
our
for joining.
Sunny D vodka seltzers. Drink responsibly.
Yeah, refilling
Enjoy
up
them
here.
with us. Yes, they're wonderful. We have a new and different episode for you today. Because we already did this one once.
but it's new to you.
This is an old to us, new to you kind of deal.
I hope everyone remembers what they said exactly word for word, because I don't at all.
This is going to be a fun ride.
I'm just trying to remember the movie. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So basically, we did this movie
like 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Maybe 3.
Thought it came out pretty good, and then our SD card got corrupted and we lost the recording. Mm-hmm. So today we will be discussing Captain Ron with Martin Short and Kurt Douglas.
Russell.
Yes. Kurt Russell. Wow.
Martin
It's
Douglas.
been a couple weeks.
Kurt Douglas's brother.
It's been a couple weeks and a few sunny days. So
That's really in honor of like, I love that we waited to do this for the second of the night, which we record these. We've all had a couple sunny D's.
That's right.
Feel a little
Get a little loose,
a little swervy,
a little carefree.
Everybody lean in a little.
What's Martin's name? What's the family name?
Oh my gosh! Well, it's Captain Ron is I think his maiden name.
It's Captain Ron.
His maiden name.
It's fucking Captain Ron.
What you got,
Sorry,
boss?
It's Martin Short is Martin Harvey.
Harvey.
The
The Harveys.
find themselves on a boat.
That was definitely from the first recording. Me not being able to remember that they were the Harveys.
the Harvey.
You just keep calling them the Martins.
I did, yeah, for real.
Oh, we did. Yeah, you did keep calling him Martin because it's Martin Short as Martin Harvey. Because I feel like there's sometimes where you're just like, just call me by my name, dude. Why are we writing? Like, well, I'm supposed to be Jeff now? No, just I'm Matt. You just keep calling me Matt.
Yeah, like what's the difference?
Why are we doing this?
Marvin.
Just to make it difficult?
Yeah.
And you left my name Martin, but called me Harvey instead of Short?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, all right. So it's Captain Ron, it's Kurt Russell, and Martin Short. 1992, and yeah, I mean,
When did it come out?
1992.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Glad that it came out that year. Yeah, so this movie was very nostalgic for me. Growing up, we watched this a lot with friends of mine, and even into like high school and college, we would go to the Florida Keys every year.
Yeah.
His family would take a trip down there, and it's driving distance for anybody in Miami. So he would invite me and a couple buddies down, normally the first night that they were there. And we would go down and join him, and we would drink White Russians and Irish car bombs, and then watch Captain Ron.
And then throw up.
Yeah, we were in our Big Lebowski era.
We were in our milk era.
At that time. It's a lot of dairy, and then the next day we would go out on the boat, which is a wonderful idea. But
Yeah, let's slam milk.
yeah, you guys thirsty?
And just talk about a squatting dog. Yeah, I had the squirts like for
Squirting dog.
Yes.
He's my best friend.
Yeah, the shit.
I don't know what it is about it being on a boat, or if it's the salt air, if it's gentle rocking, but I have the worst stomach pain whenever I'm on a boat.
Seasickness, sounds like.
No, it's not like I'm gonna throw up. It's like I gotta take a poop. And I'm never certain like when it's coming out, but I just always know it's going to be bad. So I'm always talking to the captain. Hey, plumbing facilities good on this, or is it like a hang it off the side of the boat situation? Because there's going to be a good half hour where I'm going to need everybody to be real cool and to be real looking at the horizon because I'm ashamed.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it's awful. So wait, what would they do? So you would just go down for the first night in the Keys, and
Yeah.
like, what would they do the next day? You go on the boat, and they'd be like, "Okay, you guys leave, go away." Like, was that just the understanding?
It wasn't like them saying leave. It was like, this is your family vacation. We're gonna get out of here.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
it's just you actually being like considerate,
Like
of,
normal adult people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'cause you
Adjusted
wouldn't-
human.
I mean, you wouldn't. You wouldn't believe how often like that's not the case. Where you're like,
Dude, well,
cool, it's great to see you. And
It's
then
hard.
like,
It's hard to
Where you
explain
going?
with this guy's family. They're good people. But they're his dad's a musician, career musician.
wow, oh, that's
He's
cool.
A little different.
Okay,
And
you just know
like
we need to go the second. day.
basically, staying more nights would be too much for me.
I get
Like,
that.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, for you.
Yeah.
Okay, for you. Not
Like
for,
and I would like, you want to go down and hang out with your friend, but it's like, hey, your family's going on vacation and you're inviting 2 or 3 guys to come down that hang out with you all the time. Like,
you see these assholes.
like you see us like once a week, 2 times a week, maybe
Yeah.
every day. Like,
That's why you're on the
depending.
family vacation.
Yeah, and
why
it's
you're
like,
there. That's
hey,
why
and
you're
he's
there.
like, no, dude, I asked my parents. They said it's cool. I'm like, hey, yeah, okay. Well, your dad never seems cool about anything, so I can't tell. And your mom is cool, like whatever's going on. So it's hard to read the room.
Yeah, that's a little too far on each side of the like
Exactly.
each side of the aisle is what I'm trying to say.
Exactly.
To be like, okay, one's really cool with everything, one's not cool with just about
Yeah,
God damn it. So here I am with my friends.
Where's the
and,
middle of the road here?
Just getting a little drunk in their beach house.
Luckily, it was just like, it was so late by the time you got down there. Like, they all go to sleep.
Oh yeah,
And then we just come, and now we're just up, but we're outside, like not bothering anybody.
Yeah.
And that kind
which
of thing.
the Keys are very different for that. So anyway, so Captain Ron, which I have to say, man, when I rewatched this, I was like, God, this guy reminds me of so many people I've met living here next to the Caribbean, like, and especially a few like family friends that we have and stuff. And I'm like, that guy is him. Like that guy, I can't say his name because like, a lot of people know him. But I'm like, Jesus, this guy is like, if Captain Ron just walked off the screen, and we would be like, oh, there he is. This is our friend. This is our family friend. He is exactly the same person because he's a lovable, like kind of. It's not dim-witted. He's smart, but like I guess he's just been in the sun so much and like kind of baked in that way that like a lot of normal like thought and like common like sense isn't there. And like
Mr. Madison, you had too much sun today. There's no penguin.
there's no penguin. That's right. He's running through Nudie
Magazine Day.
Yeah. So Kurt Russell plays this boat captain, this lovable
With an eye patch.
boat captain with an eye patch. Because how did he lose that eye?
Doesn't matter. But it's
matter.
It's Kurt Russell in a movie, so there's probably an eye patch involved.
Yeah. Well,
It's funny how they do that.
Yeah, amazing. They can pull
Like
that,
Escape from LA, Escape from New York.
You're gonna give him an eye patch. You're absolutely right. Yeah. I'm surprised he wasn't when he did the Santa Claus recently. They didn't give him an eye patch. What's this Santa? This Santa's a badass. Actually, he lost that eye in the war. Which
Yeah.
war? He won't say.
Yeah.
Like the War of the Poles.
Yeah.
The War of the Poles.
The Two Towers, if you will.
So
Let's carry it into this week.
Carry it into this one, yeah. Oh my God! So Martin Short finds out he's walking to work in the morning, and it's in New York City, and he gets to the front of this building, and there's like just glass
Shattered
everywhere.
glass.
And they're talking in the elevator that like some
the two
person
dudes.
got like killed.
No,
or
nobody
maimed.
got killed.
But
Okay.
they're saying you could have died.
Yeah,
okay.
the window from the 12th floor just dropped out. So basically, this huge piece of glass just fell 12 stories to the floor, 13 stories with the lobby
Yeah.
The wind
to the
effect.
ground. And it's
Coriolis
like, could you imagine?
Yeah.
Like you're just walking to work one day, and then bam, you're gone.
Your
You're
ground
just-
beef.
Yeah, you're
on
done.
the sidewalk.
Dunzo. And then he's talking about all the ways you could die. He's saying you could hit by a bus. You could, get a disease. And right when he says that, the woman next to Martin Short sneezes into his coffee.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, that makes me glad to work from home.
And then he
lot of
says,
reasons.
yeah, like, how many things in your life did you want to do that you didn't do? You put off like, oh, I'll do them in the future. I'll do them in the future. And you never did. And then you're just gone. Like a piece of glass falls on you. And he's like Martin Herman?
Martin Harvey?
Oh my gosh, man, I cannot do it. I don't know what it is about that
Martin
name.
I'm trying to think of that Jim Gaffigan joke where he's like, hey, Harvey, can I load of this? Oh, Harvey? Oh, and Harvey.
I'm going
was
to try my
gone.
best this episode to remember that his name is Martin Harvey.
If you
So
ever,
he says,
if you ever
like,
can't remember, just go into Swedish Chef Martin Herbert.
so he says, like, see, take Harvey here, for example. He told me he wants to write a book. What are you going to write it about? When are you going to write that book?
Yeah.
And then there's like a bike messenger that it was kind of following in the beginning, and he's standing in the elevator too, and he says, Martin Harvey? And he's like, yeah. He goes, here you go, and gives
Sign
him this
this.
package, sign here. And he basically finds out that he inherited this boat from his lost uncle, basically.
Yeah.
And he gets this idea, like, let's go check out this boat. And so he sprints home.
I just had an apostrophe. I think you mean an epiphany.
I think you're being an epiphany. What's that from?
Hook.
God, man.
Lightning.
That movie is coming
Lightning.
for sure.
Oh,
Just
yes.
struck my brain.
struck
That
my-
must have hurt.
That must have hurt. Dude, Smee in that movie. But I just talked about this at my office like 2 days ago. One of the girls that I know that works there, she showed her kids Hook for the first time.
Oh.
And I was like, man, my favorite part of Hook is the most obscure scene, but it's right at the very, very beginning. I may have even said this on the show before, but they go and they go all the way to England to Wendy's house, and they knock on the door.
Yeah.
And the old man opens the door, and they're like, Toodles! And he goes, it's snowing! And slams the door in their face. That is my favorite part of the whole movie.
I used to rewind that part
is-
over and over.
His delivery of
over
it's
again.
snowing
Yeah.
is
Yes.
so perfect.
To the point that my mother, which my mother is a very sweet, kind woman,
yes.
was like, Matt, let it go. And I'm like,
Catch it the next time round.
No, there's a touch of slang in there. There's a touch of twang in there. Matt.
that was all my meemaws. So they all talk like that. Well, he just has to watch it again and again and again. It's snowing.
The best is how elated Robin Williams is when he opens the door. He's like, Toodles.
Yes, Toodles. Oh, we're gonna get deep into Hook one of these days. Then there's a lot of fun facts about that about the guy who played Shmi in Hook, Dustin Hoffman, and oh gosh, he was in so many things. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? The guy who played Shmi. You're not helping.
He's
me
the bad
at all.
guy, and who played? No, he's the
cop.
He's the main character.
Yeah, what's his name? Is
I
an
don't know his
actor?
name.
That guy.
know
Anyways,
his
they
name.
had really. They
Walter
had,
Matthau. It's not.
they,
but-
Walter Matthau. They had an amazing epiphany about their characters. And,
I think you
and
mean
when we get to Hook, yeah, I think you mean
that circle right there. Boom.
Oh yeah,
Got
dab
him.
on that one. I would hit it, but we're too far. Anyways. Oh yeah, we'll get to Hook. Anyways, so Martin Short realizes he has a midlife crisis essentially in this elevator, which I was really annoyed with the bike messenger pulling his bike into this already crowded ass elevator to be like, oh yeah, there's just shit on the tires. You guys just don't.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about that. I
deal with it.
gotta deliver a message. I can't leave my bike downstairs.
Deal with it.
Somebody's gonna steal my bike.
So he finds out he has this boat, which was also owned by a couple of famous old Hollywood celebrities. Who was it? Who were they again?
Clark Gable.
Clark Gable, thank you, and his spouse, lover, woman.
Yeah, I don't remember her name.
Significant other.
So they them. Anyways, so he realizes, all right, they got a boat.
Yeah,
What are
and
we
he
gonna do with
runs
this boat?
home.
Yeah,
And his wife is
like
there
Willy
on the phone.
Wonka.
His wife is there on the phone talking about interior decorating, which seems to be what she does, and like also like home design, I guess.
I'm not really sure.
Architecture.
Yeah, but it's like weird how she does like the interior design and the architecture.
What do you do exactly? Houses. I do houses.
I do houses.
So
No,
much fellow.
like
I
the insides.
Noises.
Do houses.
Voices. Yes.
And then so she's on the phone about this plan, and Martin Short comes running in from work super early, and she's all confused, and he runs upstairs, and he's all like horny for her, like touching on her ears and biting on her ears.
Again,
One of my
yeah.
favorite lines in the movie, though, he's like, "You remember my estranged uncle, the one that had like the boat?" And she's like, "Oh my God, you invited him over for dinner. Like he's coming here."
Oh no, he's almost
and he's like, "No, he died."
And she's like, oh man, no.
The sense of relief on her face,
But at the same time, like,
Also concerned, like,
yeah, like,
"Oh shit."
I just said like, oh, your uncle died.
jeez,
That
all right.
sucks. My bad.
Yeah,
bro.
Martin Short like trying to be sexual is really hard to watch.
Yes, it's very uncomfortable to watch this
Difficult.
little weird man be like horny.
This marionette of a person, which he calls himself that. If you see his show, Martin Short is, and I said this when we first recorded, but Martin Short and Steve Martin are my heroes. They're two favorite comedic actors and stuff, just because of their timing. But I actually got to go see them at the Hard Rock Stadium, Hard Rock Live. Sorry.
I was about to say,
What?
you said this in another episode.
Oh God, what
It was
happened?
this episode that got deleted that you told this story. And I'm like, no way, you already told it on this.
Yeah, we already heard that, man.
Way to go.
Nobody wants to hear it
I
again.
just had my
Anyways.
tooth on the freaking mic.
Oh jeez, yeah. Well,
Anyway,
it's a great
sorry.
Netflix special.
It
No.
just cracked me up that I
You
was
could
about
see
to
it.
cut you off.
be like, yeah, you told us this.
In the last Captain Ron episode,
What are we reviewing today? Captain Ron 2, The Squeakquel or something? What is this?
Captain Ron also.
The Happening.
The Happening. Anyways, yeah. So he suddenly decides, he's like, yeah, okay, we got a boat. We're gonna go down. We're gonna sail this thing from wherever the hell it is, which was Saint Potato or something like that.
The island means potato.
Yeah,
Um,
patata or something. It's in Spanish. Isla de Patata, maybe.
No.
That's as close to the translation as I can get.
Well, it doesn't actually mean. And like I looked it up, and it's like it's not.
It's not potato.
Yeah, it's not a real island.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it's not a real island, but
it's
it is.
San. I want to say Pedro, but it's not Pedro.
Anyways,
Trey's looking it up.
potato. Yeah. So,
You guys keep going. I'm looking it up.
Yeah.
well, anyways, yeah. So they decided he's suddenly deciding, okay, I'm going to quit my job for like 3 months.
Yeah, they never even discuss like the jobs, but he basically says, it's on this island, and we got to get it to Miami to sell it.
Hey, Miami.
So why don't we go down and we'll hire a captain, and we'll sail the boat up, and it'll take like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Is what he says.
It's like, dude, that's more like 2 days at most. If you're just like, if you're running like what, 15 horsepower?
Yeah, it
like,
depends, I guess.
like a thimble of a rotor in the back. Like what? Like you're in boats. Like boats, right? Like I mean, this
I know
is
how
your
to
thing.
do papers for boats.
Well, I mean, but you like boats. I mean,
Boats are fine.
I'll accept
Boats
your.
are
I'll
fine.
accept.
It depends if you're sailing and stuff, and you're taking your time. You can stretch it out.
You can stretch out 3 months.
Especially, I mean, but 3 months is a long ass time.
That's an enormous time to be on a boat,
long-ass
dude.
time.
Yeah.
But then you find out also that he has this plan to bounce between the islands and see
yeah,
rocks.
I guess he is. Yeah.
Lots of rocks. He wants to see rocks,
like old Spanish
forts
and
yeah,
things,
like basically like see all the Caribbean crap, all the piratey stuff
Yeah.
that was from back in the day. And she is not on board.
Yeah.
His wife is not on board with this plan.
Until
And the son comes in, and he's super pumped, and he spills milk like all over her plans.
Stoked about it.
And
Yeah.
I love
kid
that.
can't
Like,
pour milk.
yeah. And then it cuts away, and he picks the milk, but like it falls, he picks it right up.
Yeah.
And then it cuts away. When it cuts back, the milk's still laying on its side.
It is,
Like, my father pointing, always making me catch stuff like that in movies nowadays, where I'm like, I can't. Oh yeah, see that now. I wouldn't have noticed that, but my dad always notices that crap.
Details. It's
It's
the
like
details.
it's all in the details. So the kid overhears that they're getting a boat, and he's like all excited. We're getting a boat. We're getting a boat.
Saint Pometier, meaning Saint Potato.
Saint Pometier. Okay, yep, sure. I never would have remembered that. If I hadn't watched that movie like 5 minutes before we started, I would never remember that.
Me neither. That's why I had to look it up.
It took you a long time to look
I
it
love
up.
how that kid.
Because IMDb didn't have it. I had to go to the Wikipedia.
But him and his wife are still arguing about like the logistics of like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna quit. We're gonna do this.
What about the kids in
What
school?
about the kids? And the kids, like, the son is already on the phone. He's calling his friends. He's like, hey,
We got
we're
a
getting
boat.
a boat.
Because he thinks it's like a speedboat.
Yeah, I think it's something like cool and useful, but no.
And then
Where are you going to use a speedboat in Chicago?
Are they in Chicago or is it in New York?
I'm pretty sure they're in Chicago.
Oh,
I don't know.
We'll have to find that out.
But wherever they're going, they could use a boat.
Yeah.
But so they're like, the kid's all pumped. The mom is still saying no.
Yeah.
And he's trying to convince her. And it cuts to the outside where the daughter is in the van with this like biker punk looking guy. And they basically let you know that she's engaged. She just got engaged to this guy. And it cuts back into the house. And he's like, what can I say that's going to, get you on board with this? And he says, she says, there's literally nothing that I can think of that anyone could say that would get me to say yes to this. And right when she says that, the daughter walks in the house and says, Mom, Dad, I just got engaged. And then this guy walks in and says, hey, Mom and Dad.
And she's like, we're going.
Then the next scene is them down in the islands getting on the boat. And they're looking at the pictures, and it's this beautiful boat that was owned by the Clark Gable estate, and it's so fantastic. And then they like bring the picture down, and there's this dilapidated sailboat.
It looks
in
like
front of them.
it looks like the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, like it's been underwater for
Pirates of the
10 years.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant SpongeBob for a second. I was like, the
That
fly
works
does,
too.
yeah, that one.
That works too.
Where he's like backing up, and it's like little Lord, or Patrick going little. Anyways,
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
so they're down in the Caribbean, or the Caribbean.
Yep.
They're down there, and so they think like the whole point that Martin's trying to give is like, I can quit my job, and we can sustain ourselves on this boat. And because he talked to a yacht broker who was like, oh yeah, that's worth like $250,000, which back in 92, that would have been more like $750,000, like $750,000. So actually money. But so they get down there and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna ride on this thing. And it's gonna be great. They'll show up. It's a piece of shit.
And he calls the agency back and he's like, what's it worth in like less than ideal condition?
Less than ideal.
And the guy immediately tells his secretary, like, send one of our local captains. And she's like, in Saint Pometier? Like, we don't.
Well, like
Local?
I like that scene where he's calling the guy and telling him, and there's the dude like awkwardly standing there staring at him.
Right, like
The Islander.
And he keeps
next to
telling him,
him.
like, I'm on the phone.
Yeah.
It's like, we're gonna be a minute. So like maybe like if you want to go do something, I'll call you when I'm done. I'll like let you know. You like call you over, and the guy just never says a word, never moves, just standing there looking
stoic.
like never moves a muscle, like blinks, and that's it. And then he's like, okay, and turns around and he's like, yeah, so what if the boat is in less than perfect condition? And immediately that means that the boat is a huge piece of shit to this guy.
Yeah, it could have been like one of the sails was ripped.
Yeah.
He's probably heard it all, like, with all those
experienced.
guys. Yeah, it's experience. So when they say
And the
less
boat
than
hasn't been
perfect,
surveyed since this like 1967.
Yeah.
So nobody's looked at it since then.
for like 30 years or something.
yeah, and this
Pretty
guy's
close
like
to.
weird recluse uncle just left on it one day, so I'm sure he was taking great care of it. I mean,
I'm sure he's taking great care of himself.
as I've talked about doing the job, like I come across a lot of boaters,
Yeah.
and you always know when they're sailboaters because they smell like the shit. Like you're just like, oh, dude, couldn't you guys like take a shower before you came ashore, or at least
like a
get like some
shower.
Febreze?
Just jump in the ocean. Just do me a favor. Just jump in the
I don't know,
ocean.
but they are musty,
Ranky.
and stink like
Especially
bad.
the ones that go out by themselves and like anchor a mile offshore or something.
Well,
like
when
that.
we had the problem with the SD card and you were texting us and like, hey guys, sorry, we lost Captain Ron.
we lost Ron. Ron down.
Yeah,
Is Ron dead? All the Baldwins are dead.
I was sitting at customs in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, yeah?
Next to this smelly blowboater, is what we call them. Sailboaters are called blowboaters. Yeah.
Why? I don't know if I want to know.
Because you go by the wind.
Oh, okay.
You blow.
Good one.
Oh man, all
Matt's
the places I went with.
Are they sucking dicks? Is that how they get from port to
Is that
port?
where they get Hootie and the Blowfish from?
You know what they say about sailors? Any port in the storm.
Well, they really should do those dirty bastards from port to port.
They don't wear condoms. They should, those dirty sailors. But this guy was having some issues with the customs, and he was trying to go back to Canada where he was from. But as it turned out, he's like a cinematographer, and he's worked on like Handmaid's Tale and a bunch of Jackie Chan movies and
What?
yeah, like all this stuff. Like he's done like big time productions, and he's been the cinematographer for these movies.
You gotta find out who that is.
It's gone now forever.
Damn it!
Gone forever, Aaron Hernandez.
Yikes.
Now I gotta look this up.
But so I'm like, oh wow, cool, okay. And he was the one that suggested to put the card in the freezer overnight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he was like,
Yeah,
no,
Matt
like,
was like, I'm not fucking doing that.
No, I did try it. Text him, it didn't work.
he said like it's no guarantee, but it has worked in the past.
So weird.
But basically he was like, because I was like, he was telling me how he sees the writing on the wall in the industry,
Yeah.
and like, oh man, with like AI and all this stuff coming,
Yeah.
we got to figure out other things to do.
It's just red rum.
Yeah. And then, so basically he became a YouTuber, and he was being cagey about like what he's doing and stuff, which, okay.
All
But he's
right.
like, oh, this is like the next thing coming. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I can't get excited because you can't share with me what it is.
You want to tell me what the fuck that is?
Yeah, like,
please?
okay, bro. Appreciate it.
Give me a
Like,
clue. 2 words. First word. Sounds like.
It's a movie title. It's a movie title.
Oh, yeah, film?
2 syllables.
Okay, 2 syllables.
Homosexuality. That's too
Oh,
many
no,
syllables.
Way too many
China,
syllables.
Japan, actually different countries.
I wanted to tell him too. They're like, hey, that's cool. With what you're doing, do you make enough money to take a shower? Because you could really use one.
Yeah.
You smell like Martin Short or Captain Ron.
You should get on this Captain Ron boat because the shower thing on this boat is ridiculous.
You could tell, you'd be like, listen, I got a water bottle in the car, and if you don't mind.
Hey, I carry cologne.
Yeah.
I will bathe you in that.
That is brute, you pervert.
Yes, but so yeah, it was just interesting hearing about like what he was doing, and
That's
like
pretty cool.
he's basically was like, oh, okay, and he started traveling around doing YouTube instead of he was like,
Cinematography.
there's not gonna be any work for me or whatever. And
Wow, dude.
like a lot of people that, especially in film,
Yeah.
because film's so difficult these days with like how much of it is CG and. Like TV, there's still need for like cinematography and audio and that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
We're just pumping out Michael Bay movies. You know?
they're like, oh, it's explosions. Oh, it's
Blow it up.
Everything's
Cool.
CG. Everything's on green screen. Like
Can we get Shia in for another week?
he was saying, like, you know, when we take that, like when that card comes out of there, you gotta have like a protocol. You gotta like put a tape on and then put it. And I'm like, yeah, we're not that serious, dude. Like this is like 3 idiots making a podcast. It's like, I'm sorry.
You tell him I'll be that serious if that's what it takes. I'll do it. Let's
He's
make it
basically
happen.
saying like you
If
gotta
you
like
tell
have
me
the
what
same
the-
routine with the
Yeah.
cards like every single time. So like,
Oh yeah.
okay, and when I take this card out of here, we don't speak until like that card goes where it's supposed to go because it like that's the most important thing. And I'm like,
That is what I
cool.
do though, but it's it wasn't an organization. It's a corrupt. Anyway,
yeah, it was a
but that's
file
really cool.
issue.
Yeah, that's really cool. I met that guy, and he's basically cinematographer Captain Ron. Which actually, Captain Ron does pull out a camera in this one, so maybe it was the same dude. It could have been based on him, right? I
Well,
mean,
the
he
best
did
is
sailing and
the best is when they meet Captain Ron.
yeah.
He shows up in his like little gremlin, and
Of
the
a car.
the headlights out.
Yes. Yeah. The headlights out just like Captain Ron's
Yeah,
headlights
on the
out.
same
Yeah.
side, on the left side.
So he gets there and he thinks he puts the car in park, and he gets out to get on the boat, and the car just rolls into the ocean. It starts to sink. And he gets on the boat and he's checking everything out, and they're like, "Oh, we should take it out, see what this thing can do." And he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh no, because I have my car." And he turns around,
The car's gone.
not there, and he's like, And he looks down and he sees like all the bubbles and he has that moment like, oh shit.
No, it's not worth it.
So he's like, then you see the guy who lent him the car like drives up and he's like, you took my wife, but you're not taking my car. And he's like, let's get her out there, Captain. Let's see what let's get her out there, Chief.
Because he shows up, he's rough. And like Martin Short's character is like all about him. He's like, oh yeah, he looks like a sailor.
Well, he's in like a Rasta hat and like an open floral shirt with no undershirt on, and he thinks that his daughter's his wife. He's like, hey, boss.
Hey.
He sounds like Beetlejuice.
A little bit like Beetlejuice. Yes, it is. It is kind of like.
He's like, hey, boss, that's nice. That's for later.
That guy. I've seen The Exorcist 187 times, and it keeps getting funnier.
But he's like, nice. I bet she keeps your motor going. You know what I mean?
He's like, that's my daughter.
And he's like, oh, what's up, babe?
Hey,
That's one of my favorite parts of the movie is how, like when you watch it a bunch of times and you don't really catch it, but the instant that he meets each one of them, they have their names for him. Like they gets Martin's like, hey, nice to meet you, I'm Martin Harvey.
Hey, boss.
He's like, oh, hey, boss, and that's it. Like that's his name, boss.
Boss.
And then the daughter is babe, hey, babe, and that's it.
Yeah.
Babe.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, and this is my wife, Catherine. He's like, oh, hey, Kitty, and that's her name now.
And then his son.
And then his son's like, oh, hey, Captain Ron, whatever. And he's like, oh, hey, Swab.
Yeah.
And he's just Swab. And then he's like, later he tells him about how, hey, why don't you, because they're changing the oil. And he's talking about how, like, this diesel guzzles a bunch of oil. And he's like, oh, yeah, they really guzzle a bunch of oil. Why is that, Captain Ron? He's like, nah, nobody knows. Like,
Not nobody knows. I don't know.
yeah. And then he's like, okay, Ben, that'll be your job.
Yeah.
He's like, oh no, boss, you better do that. That's a very important job. He's like, okay, you'll take out the trash, Swab. And he's like, I don't take out the trash. He's like, well, do your job. Let me teach you something about a boat. You do your job, do it well, you get promoted. Go from Swab to mate. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, such a weird. That's like how he is, like the whole movie. Like everything's like this. Making deals.
He's like the new fucking chef. Swedish chef.
And then they start up the boat to see how it's running, and right then a car pulls up.
Hey,
the guy gets out and he says like, hey, why don't we take it out and like check it out? The Swab is like, hey, let's take it out, let's check it out. And he says, no, we'll do some things first. And Martin Short and his wife are saying like, we're not ready, we got to get some stuff and food and some more. And then the guy gets out of the car and he's like, yeah, plus Swab, Captain Ron, I drove my friend's car here. And they're like, what car? And like looks around, and Captain Ron looks over the side, and there's the bubbles in the water,
and
he's like,
all the locals looking over the dock.
And he's like, you know what? Why don't we take her out there?
Something's gonna happen. It's gonna happen out there.
That's right. Something's gonna happen out there. And the guy pulls a gun out of the car, and he's like
an AK-47.
He's like, Ron, Captain Ron, you take my wife, but you will not take my car. He starts shooting at them.
Immediately, the locals intervene.
He fires the first shot. The local guys grab the gun and point it in the air.
Right, the local guys are like, hey.
Whoa. And the wife is, what's going on back there? Oh my gosh. And then he's like, hey, boss, you been on the water before? Yeah, growing up with my uncle. Yeah, it shows. You look real comfortable. Why don't you stand here?
Yeah.
Like this. And then he's like, Kitty, look at this. Distracting them from the fact that this guy is shooting at them from the beach. So ridiculous.
No, so Captain Ron, his whole deal is like he's knowledgeable enough, but he's kind of a simpleton, but he's a lovable simpleton.
That's the trick about this movie.
Yeah, it walks a fine line.
And is he playing or is he not?
Yeah.
I think he just he's one of those guys that lucks himself into greatness.
Well, at the end, it's like
he just
holy
stumbles.
shit, was that all on purpose?
No, he just stumbles into greatness.
Okay, he's stumbling. But I mean, there's even those guys where he could be stumbling in on purpose.
I did that,
I don't know. There is some. You feel like there is some calculated knowledge that he's going through because what's his name? Martin Short keeps trying to be like, oh, we're gonna go to like this abandoned island and we're gonna see the Spanish fort, right? And Captain Ron keeps saying like that he gets lost.
Yeah.
And whenever he gets lost, it's like, oh, it's just easy. Wherever we pull up, we'll just ask for directions,
he's
right?
just like, but in his head, he's like, I don't want to do that shit.
Yes,
That's exactly the point.
Yes.
That's exactly the point.
Exactly it. Exactly.
Because it's the first time they get lost or the second time they get lost?
I think it's the second time they get lost. Yeah.
They end up on this island and there's this gorgeous woman in the water like waving at them, and Martin Short thinks it has to be because he's already like super pissed off at him at this point. Martin Short's like over Captain Ron.
Yes.
Because so the first island they go to, let's start there.
This is when they learn he can park the ship.
Well, they're pulling in, and he's like, he leaves Martin Short at the helm, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna go get some sleep. Just point it north about 30 miles. And they're like, what? So
I think he's dead.
yeah, the daughter comes up and she's like, hey, I think there's something wrong with Captain Ron.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I think he's dead.
Yeah.
And he's shifted his eye patch over so his eyes just open.
Yes, to his good eye.
Yeah.
That's the one that counts. Yeah.
And they go down and they wake him up, and then he scares the shit out of all of them. But when he like comes awake, and he's like, "Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I do that to keep the light out when I sleep."
Yeah.
And goes up, and he's like, "Oh, good job, boss. You got us here. Good." And they're pulling into the marina, and he's like, "Yeah, shouldn't we slow down?" And Cameron guns the boat and starts hauling ass down this like they're in the marina. There's boats all in there.
Yeah.
There's this party going on at the dock, and he just whips the boat right in, tells the Martin Short to put the bumpers out, which is totally something you do.
Yep.
And
What are those? They're tied to the ropes.
yeah, like throws the things out, and he just like whoop right
His
in. And basically,
nautical language.
he might as well just like as the boat like comes to rest against the dock, just step right off and walk away because that's how smooth it is.
Yeah.
And then he goes right up to the bartender. He's like, "Hey, margaritas, I'll have."
Hey, yeah. Like he
Immediately
steps right
starts
to the party.
partying
Yeah.
and drinking.
Well, what I read on like when I had a chance to go back and research a little bit because I knew we were going to do it again. A lot of the Captain Ron stuff came from Kurt Russell's closet. Like he owned the shirts.
Oh, really?
He
That
had,
was his
like-
stuff.
And
Well, you know the what we talked about the first time we recorded was that the roles were supposed to be reversed.
yeah.
That they wanted
Yeah.
Martin Short to
Was
be Captain Ron
That would
and
not-
Kurt Russell
that
to
would
be
not work.
Martin Short's character. Like,
Yeah.
that would have been the worst movie ever.
It could have been. I could have seen some comedic timing in the idea that Martin Short is this amazing island lover, that like daring like man of the ocean.
So hard to believe.
And it's so out of character that it could be funny. Like it could be really funny because it's so unexpected. But yeah, it works out so much better for Kurt Russell.
Yeah,
to be
it's just so smooth looking.
Yeah.
But he was the one that had the suggestion, like the raspy voice and stuff. Like that was all Kurt Russell's suggestion. And the one thing they had to convince him of was the underage drinking in the movie.
Because outright, the kid's like, "Hey, like you're gonna play Monopoly," and they're like playing for money and
yeah,
stuff.
so that's coming up. So they're on this island, and it's like the only island that they actually intend to go to throughout the entire movie.
Oh, that's
it's
true.
this first one.
Yeah.
And
Right.
the daughter like meets these guys and like she's gonna go out with them, blah blah. And they get back to the boat, and she's all dressed up like in like her pajamas, and the parents go to sleep.
She has a raincoat on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And so the parents go to sleep, and she takes the raincoat off, and she's in like a dress that girls would wear to go out, like
Yeah.
a short black dress, everything. And she hands the brother $20, and she's like, "Where was I?" He was like, "You were here with us all night," or "I didn't see a thing," or
Yeah.
something like that. And Captain Ron's like,
Hey, like also, yeah,
she's like, she's like, "This is turning into an expensive night."
Yeah.
She pays him, and then he's like, "You want to gamble?" He's like, I don't know how to play poker." And he's like, "What?" He's like, "We can play Monopoly."
No, they won't let him.
Oh, that's
The
right.
parents
That's
won't
right.
let
Yeah, they
him
won't
play
let
poker.
him because he probably knows how to already. This kid's like weirdly smart and capable with a lot of things. But I love that line though. Like, Cat Ron has a case of beer, and he pulls one out, and then the kid goes to move it, and he goes, "Hey, like don't touch that.
You get your own beer.
You get your own." And then sure enough, it cuts again.
And the kid's like-
the kid's drinking his own beer on the boat. It's like, all right, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, but they told him like, "Oh, it fits the character." They're like, he wouldn't care. They're like,
Right.
the little kid
But
drinks.
He
As
doesn't
long as-
understand it.
Yeah.
Like you owe me $250 for the beer. That's
right.
what he's worried about, the money.
Yeah. Well, like they kept doing that. So the island they actually meant to go to, but then he wants to go to this other one. It's like an abandoned Spanish, and he thinks it's an empty island, right? And he shows up, and Martin Short is so proud. And then he finds out there's like a burger stand, like in a restaurant, like on the island.
But that's the second island.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, okay, Captain Ron's like saying that, like, okay, like, oh yeah, I just got a lot. Sometimes like that happens. You just keep going and you miss it by 30 miles or something. Yeah. And then it's like, no. I think Captain Ron was like in the game of like, dude, that place sucks. Like it's empty.
Let's
rock.
go to this. Let's go to this.
I think he's on the same
stand.
page as Babe, the daughter, where it's like, you want to go see some more rocks, Dad? Like, God, how many rocks can we look at?
Well,
This
and the
is
whole
ridiculous.
family throughout the time that they're on the ship, they're like fixing up the boat and things like that, and they're all starting to like Captain Ron because he's doing things to like win the family over.
Yes.
And Martin Short is starting to hate Captain Ron.
Well, in the beginning, like he's like, let's give him a chance.
Yeah.
And the wife is like, I don't know about this guy. She's very uncomfortable. And as soon as he docks the boat like that,
She's like, wow.
she's in, everybody's in. Martin Short is out.
Yeah.
He's like, that was so dangerous.
He almost killed us. Like, what the hell?
It was so dangerous.
It
And
was
from then
so
on,
cool,
it's Martin Short getting more and more and more and more frustrated with Captain Ron,
Yeah.
and the family loving Captain Ron more and more and more. And everything that Martin Short hates, the family loves. And
The
it's just
son
like,
starts dressing like him.
yes,
That's right. Just the shirt, a button open, like, and just wandering around with a beer.
And like he's teaching them how to sail. So
Yeah.
like he's teaching them like nautical terms like port, starboard, all that type of stuff. And then the biggest Martin Short's known for his physical comedy. He keeps getting knocked into the water.
Yeah, which I kind of kept. I wish they kept doing. I wish there was more of that. Like, no matter how much he learns, I felt like that movie should have ended with like, oh, here goes the boom, and then the what? Bam! Martin Short's in the water again, and just
Although by the end of the movie, he's much more confident in himself,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the Martin Short character in most movies is he lacks confidence in himself to the point where it makes him do dumb things.
That's a really
makes
good
him
point.
Fumble around,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what the whole movie, what Captain Ron teaches him throughout the movie is how to be more confident and more on top of his game.
Yeah.
I think most men could use that, is just being confident in who you are and being comfortable in that, and whatever comes, you got to deal with it. Especially like being a manager of a restaurant, you see that all the time with because we get a lot of younger kids that work for us, and it's like, dude, just do it. Like you just gotta do it.
Just show
Then
up and
they'll
do
tell me
it.
like, hey, we need you to train this guy in the market. I'm like, okay, so this is what you do. Do it, and if you have any questions, ask me, because
Yeah.
that's the only I can't. What am I gonna stand with you with the customer and be like, okay, now what? No, you just do it, man, and ask me questions. I don't know what to tell you. Like, how do I train you to do this?
Now you weigh the fish, and then you
Like
take
that's the
money.
kind of stuff you give. Like, you're like, okay, so you put the thing here and you press the button and it gives you a sticker, and then you just make sure when you're done with the work, you wrap it up, put the sticker on it. That's what they need up front.
There you go.
Other than that, I can't explain everything to you. You gotta
Teach them how
ask.
to cut it and stuff.
Right.
But you get
But let's
you
just-
get these
you-
kids are like, well, how am I supposed to feel though?
Yeah,
at
you
the
need
end
the
of this?
confidence to just
What am I supposed to
do.
feel
Let's
about
do this.
What's my motivation?
What's my yes exactly? What am I? What's the end goal here?
Where am I
did I leave the stove on?
Yeah. It's like, well, you like eating and living in a house, right?
That's your motivation.
This is your motivation. Sorry,
You
life
wanna-
isn't more complicated than that.
You want to
Sorry.
continue to survive?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Do you
Let's
like
do that.
eating?
You like to buy
food.
shit? You like to buy shit?
Yeah. Sorry, that's just reality of working, guys.
Well, then Captain Ron takes him to the island with the burger shack, and
Right.
Martin Short's done. He wants to go back to the boat.
yeah.
Right, and almost like a passing thing, Captain Ron yells out, "Hey, boss! If you're gonna go back to the boat, make sure you stay on the trail." Oh yeah, sure, because it's wildlife. No, there's gorillas in these woods and in the jungle, and you don't want to get caught by the gorillas. There are no gorillas. They're in
Are native to sub-Saharan Africa.
There's no gorillas on this island.
I've
And
watched every National Geographic. Yeah.
so he's like, I watch
You
National Geographic every week. So then he's walking back and he decides he's going to go traipsing through the jungle as Captain Ron buys the like fedora cap off the woman.
yeah.
And he's dancing with his wife all smooth.
And he bought them food to make up for the fact that he got lost.
And then as Martin Short traipsing through he's like, there, gorillas. And he turns and there's a AK-47 barrel like touching his nose.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, he meant
Well, and the next scene is them on the boat. Like, there's a difference between gorillas and gorillas.
You said gore.
It's like so dumb. Like
I didn't think of it either, though. But
And then he finds his son cleaning the pistol. And
oh,
he's like,
yeah. He's like, what's? He's like, what is that? And he's like, well, this is a like what? He starts naming off what the guns
It's a
are.
9mm.
And this is an Uzi or something like that. He's like, no. Why do you have guns? And he's like, because Pirates of the Caribbean, boss. And he's like, I think you've been to Disneyland a few too many times. He's like, no, they're real. And
He's like, well,
no.
he says like,
what's Disney World?
I never been to Disney World. Never been there.
Which, if you don't know, Kurt Russell is a longtime Disney actor, actually, since he was a kid. And he's like one of the only people to play ping pong with Walt Disney himself. And it was like people were like, are we allowed to do that? Are we allowed to ask? Like, Walt,
Is he allowed to play?
is Walt human?
What happens if he wins? What happens?
He's like the boss.
What happens if he wins? Does he get Mickey Mouse?
Yeah, does he get the land of Disney? Is that now Russell land? Is that what
It's the Russell land.
That is so crazy to think that like Walt Disney, Disney World, everything is Disney. It's weird that his name
Yeah.
just like
attached
works
to it.
so
Yeah.
perfectly.
This is all my crap.
Disney?
Yeah, because like Glass and Land, that doesn't. You got lucky.
Wally
dude.
World.
Yeah. My name wouldn't work either. I
What's
guess
the
it
one
was
from National Lampoon where he punches the moose?
That's Wally World.
Wally World.
Oh,
You had
okay.
it, yeah.
Sorry, we're closed.
Another John Candy movie, man. John Candy's in that as well
Yeah.
as the security guard that they drag around.
It's my favorite. He
When
just
he's on the-
goes ham on that moose.
Dude,
Stay tuned. Yeah, man. That's what we definitely got to do, especially on a summer vacation bit
Oh
like
my
this.
god!
Yeah. So anyway, so they start. So the gorillas are like, okay, we'll give them back. Just give us back the guns we gave you, and we can call this even.
he
Because
tells
he's like,
them,
we're gonna give them a ride.
He's like, I told him to give him a ride. We're going to Puerto Rico anyway.
Yeah.
yeah. They
And
want to
so
go.
so the gorillas are like, okay, well, Martin takes the guns, throws them overboard. And Kurt Russell's like, okay, we'll just give him back the guns.
And then we won't take them.
We don't have to take them. No harm, no foul.
Yeah, we
It's
didn't
cool.
trade anything.
He's like, shit.
And it's like a running gag where you
Yeah.
see the bubbles
Just
coming up.
coming up from stuff.
Is there a problem, boss? And then it cuts again, and they're out to sea with all the gorillas sitting on the boat with them, all the revolutionaries.
Yes.
Like, oh, geez. What we didn't mention is at the beginning when they're up there playing Monopoly for money, and because Martin Short gets the idea that he's going to have a little sexy time with his wife, which
that's
is
right.
which
Yeah.
is so impossible to do on a. If you've ever been on a sailboat, like you're going to go down like. You're going to go like a foot down and
Yeah.
have sex with your wife where there's like openings everywhere in the boat. Like, oh, dude,
Everyone's
it's so
hearing what's
gross.
going on.
And they're brilliant ideas to go in the shower, which that's like Trey said, a massive shower for a sailboat.
Yeah.
That is,
Usually a
yeah.
sailboat, it's like, can you turn around it? No.
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 But the point is to get wet, put on soap, and get clean
get
and
out.
get out.
Like
Yes.
your job is to get a shower gel that's a 3-in-1, and you just kind of squeeze it above your head
That's
and
and you
let the
can
water.
and you can degrease things with it.
Just a
and,
little. Yeah. It's also great for cooking as well.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
got you got a limited amount of space on a boat. You got to optimize everything.
And so they like.
Well, there's a
pull the-
mop in the shower with them
Yeah.
for some
Yeah.
reason. So he's like, "Oh, let me get this out." He opens the door. He puts the mop out of the shower. When he closes the door, the mop falls over and it locks them into the shower. Which this shower has the greatest seal on any shower door ever. But the washcloth, there's not enough room for them to be in the shower together.
Yeah, no.
And his bright idea was to have sex in the shower like this, which sounds like a terrible idea.
This is awful.
But while they're trying to do this, the washcloth falls and goes into the drain, and it
they
starts
break
to
the-
fill with water, right?
Eh.
And she's trying to turn off the knobs to get the water to turn off, and the knob comes off in her hand.
It starts filling like a human.
Captain
tank.
Ron, as he's playing Monopoly with the swab, he's thinking to himself like, "Man, that water's been running a long time."
Yeah, dude.
And then it cuts back to them, like more slapsticky stuff going on in the shower. And then it cuts back to him, and he's like, "You know what, Swab? I'll be back. And he goes down to tell him, like, hey, boss, you using up all the fresh water.
Yeah.
Like, we only have so much fresh water on the boat. Oh, thanks a lot, Captain Ron. Which, this was the dumbest part because you're trapped.
Yeah. What are we going to do? Exactly.
And the water is filling and not draining out of the shower, which is incredible.
Yeah.
But you're going to die drowning in the shower of your sailboat. Just tell the guy, hey, we're trapped in here. Can you help us?
Yeah.
But Captain Rod says, hey, there's a mop block in here. You want me to move this? And as he's moving it to be helpful, and he's like, oh, no. And he moves it, and it just dumps them out onto the ground.
And you get a little Martin Short butt cheek out of this.
You get
honestly,
Martin Short butt cheek, and you get Kitty. You get some boobage. It's funny
true,
that you
yeah.
noticed the Martin Short ass, and I noticed
Well,
the
it's
woman.
funny because like he's so liberal
What, with his butt
with
cheeks?
his butt cheeks. Yeah, there's posts of him on social media where paparazzi try to get
So he
these
moons
people
them all the time?
So he always moons them.
That's
And
funny.
It's part.
I
of
think we
his
talked about it before, but I
gags.
love that Daniel Radcliffe wore the same clothes every day for like 2 years.
Yes. For
Like,
6
screw you
months or
people, man. Like, leave me alone. Why do you need pictures of me on the street?
What is this serving? What is this?
Yeah.
How is this progressing our species?
It's so
It's
stupid.
really dumb.
It really is.
So-
But
Nearly dropped that there, but it
Don't-
would have been
don't-
fine because
it's got a lid on.
It's a solid.
Oh, we got it laminated.
It's laminated.
laminated.
It's got a seal top at the top. Yeah. I almost dropped my drink for the people who aren't watching us on YouTube.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Sometimes I gotta remember we mime a lot of things.
Most things
We
are
gotta-
audio medium.
Yes, we
It's
gotta
like-
go to the audio.
It's like stand-up comics who are like, those are for the people that bought the special.
Yeah, exactly.
When you buy the
I was
DVD.
listening to last podcast just today on my way home from work, and one of the guys put on a video of like some dancing,
Yeah.
and the other guy's like, "Okay, for those of you who are listening to this podcast, you dick, Henry." Like,
you gotta bring pictures in for your jokes to work. That's not gonna work here.
it's
bud.
super funny.
It's just- yeah. So Ron helps them out, and so they keep going island to island, but they get the gorillas, and this was my favorite scene. Was they hit a storm, and Captain Ron is like, "It's just a squall. As long as we got the compass, we're gonna be great."
The
Compass
line-
wise.
the map.
The
map,
line that
yeah.
he says, or it's like, "It's just a squall.
Yeah.
Comes on quick, leaves quick."
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
like, "As long as we got the map, we're gonna be
And
great."
he opens the
chart.
Yeah.
Oh,
chart.
the cabinet
Yeah, he
with the
opens
chart
the
in
cabinet, and Martin Short like runs into him at that exact moment, and the map goes flying.
Dude,
Yeah.
it goes so fast. It's like,
Yeah. You can tell they have that thing like on a fishing wire. The
Yeah,
guy's
yeah.
just like, and pull the
Yep,
fish.
and hook it. And then they goes, "Oh, it's fine. We got the old compass here." Something else happens. Compass is gone. And
well-
all of the gorilla guys are there, just like kind of freaking out. They're like,
And they-
"Oh no!"
you made me think of like how the whole movie they're like, found some more dry rot here, boss.
Whenever something breaks, he's like, "Oh, you got dry rot there, boss."
This is dry rot. Happens to everybody. Everybody, you know.
No, but then all the gorillas are down in the
Everybody's
underneath
downstairs,
is
other
downstairs.
than Captain Ron.
And they're
Yeah.
playing Monopoly
Short.
for money.
They're playing Monopoly for money against like
And
the
the kid
general
is taking them to
General.
school.
Yes, El Generalissimo. Generalissimo.
He's like, he has Boardwalk and Park Place. It's $65. And he's like, he doesn't have that much money.
That's
He's like,
all the general's money.
Tell the general shit happened.
Shit happened. Tough shit.
they get down there and like they're putting on their life vests, and the mother is like training him like, "Okay, you want to do a bow, not a
Yeah.
knot." "Oh, honey, you're never gonna get that out to this gorilla." Like
But they're like the
revolutionary.
nicest dudes.
Yeah,
Like,
they're the
not-
sweetest guys. And then Captain Ron comes down and is like, "You guys don't want to be down
No,
here in
well-
case she starts to break
Well,
up."
the best is Martin Short is like, as long as we're down here, everything's gonna be fine. We're not gonna die. We're fine. And then
Captain
Captain
Ron
Ron
says we're
opens
good.
he opens the top of the thing, and water like shoots down, and Martin Short falls over.
like a 10-gallon bucket of water dumps on Martin Short, knocks him to the ground
Yes,
flat.
yes.
And he pokes his head in and is like,
Sorry about that, boss.
you guys don't want to be down here when she starts to break up.
when she starts to break up.
I thought he just said we were okay.
And then everybody like walking over Martin Short,
Scrambling to get out of.
That's probably my biggest fear about being on any
Yeah.
boat out of
Dude,
the ocean.
have
in
you
a
ever
storm.
watch think it was-
Titanic. Yeah,
No.
Saw that one.
I think it was there's two different shows that I used to watch where one's I Shouldn't Be Alive and one's
Gilligan's
I
Island.
Survived. and I think it was on I Shouldn't Be Alive, but
Yeah.
it was they interview these people that went through these horrific ordeals.
Yes, I've seen those. Yeah.
And I Survived is much more serious. Like the stuff they go through is like okay, but most of the I Shouldn't Be Alive stuff is with nature.
Yeah.
And there was one where it was a bunch of people on a sailboat, and they got into a big storm, and the sailboat started to list to one side. So they decide, like, we better get out of here. The boat's sinking. Let's not get stuck. So they get onto the life rafts, and they go away from the boat. And just the most horrific stuff goes on. I don't need to go into all the detail, but it's horrible.
It's terrible.
And I think 2 out of like 10 or more people survive.
Jesus.
Oh.
And then they get rescued, and they find out that the sailboat never sunk.
Oh, that's like, what's that movie? What's that movie where like the fog is killing people?
The Mist.
The Mist, and it rolls in, and the dad has killed the whole family, and he thinks that like what's coming out of the mist is like the monsters to kill them, and it turns out that it's the military that's there to save them. And
They're
he's
clearing the mist.
No.
Yeah. Bro, I love watching those like live documentary ones, especially the ones about like tragic events and stuff. But there's a couple I like watching, like about like ghost hunters and stuff like that. But there's a few that like immediately when they start naming, they're like, okay, here's our specialist Brad, but he goes by this name and stuff like that. I have to turn it off because it's like that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. And the most recent one I started watching was a Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh yeah.
And so they start
Is it like
going
a
on
special on it?
Yeah, it's like, well, it's a series, and they have a couple on the History Channel, which is not history.
Well, there's like the Skinwalker Ranch is super famous.
Oh yes, no, it's well known and it's super creepy. But there's a guy on this particular show on History Channel.
Yeah.
The name is creepy.
Well,
Yeah,
you never heard of
Skinwalker.
Skinwalkers?
No.
It's a Native American thing.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Does that make me non-cultured?
Yeah, you uncultured swine.
It just means you don't look at useless crap on the internet like we do.
We keep filling our brains up with nonsense.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's a guy on there where they're like, yeah, and like, okay, one of our security guy, his real name is Brian, but he goes by Dragon. And you're just like,
Yep, you're fired.
You got to call me Dragon.
You're
no
fired.
one.
You got to call me
You got to call
Nighthawk.
me Nighthawk.
Hey, both of you, Dragon and Nighthawk, you're fired. Get out of here.
No one has called you Dragon in your entire life until you got on this show.
Yeah, you were like,
Not
hey,
doing
are
that.
you guys a bunch of nerds? No. Okay, then I can't hang out here.
Ah, damn it. This is my spot. I know. I immediately, like, they started and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. They got to Dragon. It's like, turning it off. I'm going to go watch Bluey with my kids.
Hot dog, hot diggity dog. It was a Mickey Mouse show.
Yeah. Okay, so they get through the storm. They get to, where do they get to?
No,
they,
so they
get to an island.
They
where
go to
they-
San Juan.
but Martin
Yeah.
Short tries to kill Captain Ron.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because of the hot chick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's so upset because he thinks that the hot chick is making eyes at him.
Yeah.
At Martin Short, and Captain Ron walks up. I keep calling him Martin Short. Martin Harvey. Hey! Only
Got
2
him.
episodes in. Took me to remember Harvey one time. But Captain Ron walks up and says, "Oh wow, look at her. Oh look, she's looking over here."
Oh, yeah, she's looking at me.
I don't.
I think she's looking at me, boss.
Martin Short's like, I don't think she's looking at you, and I think she's looking at me, boss. You sure? Sure. Why don't we ask her? Hey, Camila. Camila.
I think Clarice.
Or Clarice. Clarice.
Yeah.
Who are you looking at? She just kind of like nods her head, and he's like, say.
Oh, apparently, like the Speedo that he's in, he owned that. That was it.
I would hope
dude.
so, because who's going to wear that after him?
That's a brave dude to be like, I got a Speedo, I'm going to wear it for this whole movie. And that's he flaunts that thing
Well, if I
out.
look like Kurt Russell, I'd probably wear it too.
Yeah, all right.
I'd probably
I'll go
never
for
wear
it.
a shirt.
Who was that?
Dude,
Yeah,
you guys
for
don't
some
own a Speedo? You just wear it around your house?
reason. Yeah. Oh.
Never mind.
No, I have a child.
Yeah, but she's not old enough to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll forget.
You're still in a wonderful. I'll forget. Okay.
Yeah, you don't know when the memories start.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful about that.
When are we creating scars?
Yeah.
Like mental scars.
Yeah, when does this go from me being comfortable to you having serious mental
When does
issues?
this go from me being comfortable to you marrying a biker named Big Pete? Ow, Tyler, I just did the same.
Yeah, it hurts, right?
Both of you guys, man.
You bang your teeth against the microphone. It sucks nuts.
sorry.
Sucks nuts.
Then Martin Short has his breakdown on the boat during the storm, and he tries to kill Captain Ron, like
Yeah.
choke
to choke him to
Captain
death.
Ron the whole time is like, he's gone boat crazy. I've seen it before. It's like, he's
So
all right.
crazy.
Put a stick in his mouth so he doesn't swallow his tongue. Or something.
And then the daughter's like, land.
Yeah, because it's right there when that's why he tries to kill him, because he says, Captain Ron says,
Oh, we only have enough fuel to.
so I got some good news, some bad news. I was like, oh we're almost to land. I know we are.
Yeah, it's
I
gotta
know
be
we
right.
are.
How do you know
They're
that?
like, what are you talking about? How could you possibly know? And he says, well, when we left the last island on our way to San Juan, we only had enough fuel to make it to San Juan.
Yeah.
Okay. We just ran out of fuel. It's like, oh
just
my
ran
god.
out
And
of
that's when
fuel.
Martin Short just starts strangling the
Yes,
life out of him.
I love that.
And then the daughter's like, land.
Right then, which means like, well, he was right.
He
was
nailed
yet
it, buddy.
again.
You nailed it, buddy.
Again, where it's like that. It's like, is he acting an idiot just to, for
Right.
the shit of it, or just,
Or is it
he
sheer luck?
sheer luck? Exactly. So they get to San Juan and they're like, they immediately get arrested because they lose their kids in a crowd. They go to the police and they mention to the police, "Oh yeah, we brought guerrillas, revolutionaries onto the
I
island."
love how they cut that together where
Yeah.
they start screaming for their kids, and the next thing you know, like they're under arrest
They're in
and
prison.
they're in the jail cell.
Yeah.
And she's saying, "Look, I'm not placing
Arguing.
blame,
Yeah.
but maybe it wasn't the smartest thing to tell the police that we brought revolutionaries to the island." And he's like, "I was just trying to point out what a loose cannon Captain Ron
Trying to
is."
paint a character picture of Captain
Yeah, he's
Ron.
like-
and
I forgot to mention in the last time we did was they get released by Bulldog from Frasier.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who is also in
He's the-
Silence of the Lambs.
He's the like ambassador in Puerto Rico, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Well, I have good news and bad news. The good news is they're not going to try you for treason.
Sedition or something
Sedition,
like that.
yes.
The bad news is they're expelling you from the island.
When?
Now,
Immediately. Yeah, no. And then he like nods to the guy and he starts opening the cage.
Yep.
Well, and then they go back, and what had happened was when they got off the boat and they were going into Carnival, the kids were with him, Captain Ron's with him, and then Captain Ron had his eye patch on and the kid's glasses had broken, and
Yeah.
so he had the black over the glass, and he says he's basically dressing like Captain Ron. And
yeah, he's slowly becoming.
Instead of becoming Martin Short, he's slowly becoming Captain Ron, and he's all upset. Martin Short is, and he's like, "Take those glasses off. You don't need those." Whatever. And Captain Ron kind of gets the idea that, oh man, your son's like starting to really idolize me a lot here. And he's like, yeah, Swab. Like, sometimes when I'm out in public or in like a big crowd, I like to take mine off too. And he takes his eye patch off. He's got like the wonky glass eye. I wonder how they do that. Like, it must be some kind of like makeup or something, like maybe
Like a weird
prosthetic
contact lens or something.
Yeah, I don't know, because it looks like a fake eye he's got, which is super bizarre.
Or like the dude in Pirates of the Caribbean where they keep knocking the eye out of his head.
Yeah. But then he's walking through the crowd and he gets bumped and he's like my eye fell out. Help me look for it, Swab. So they get turned around and then the daughter sees the guy with the spider on his head.
Yeah. It's just braids.
It's just dreads. But Martin Short's like, oh, the guy with a spider on his head. And then she disappears, and that's when the parents are walking and kind of arguing, and that's when they notice, like, where the hell is everybody?
Yeah.
And now they're in Carnival and they've lost their children. But when they get out of prison, they go back to the boat and the dock is covered in people and the kids are there partying. And she's like, what happened? And she says, the daughter tells her, like, well, Captain Ron said that since that we couldn't find you guys, that we better come back to the boat so that we wouldn't get lost or anything would happen to us. And it's like, wait, he's doing like responsible stuff.
That's a smart thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. They kind of let you to believe that he's this like completely free spirit, totally irresponsible guy, but he's not.
He also brought the prostitute though. At the same
That's what I'm saying. Like it's like these weird moments where it's like, what the hell?
Well, yeah, but the best part about that is they're playing, and he's like, "She's got a system, boss."
I was just about to figure it out.
They're playing Monopoly with her for money, and
Down
she is
$500.
kicking the shit out of them. And that's what he says. Like, she had a system. I didn't realize.
I just figured it out.
Just figured it out before you got here. If you give us a little bit longer,
I can win all that money back.
Maybe we get some of that money back. Not all of it, just some of it.
It's not how Monopoly works.
Yeah.
And he just like ignores her boyfriend. Like, or her boyfriend is like the leader of the pirates.
Oh yeah, no, he's like a
mercenary,
gangster, mercenary. Like, and so he's like, well, he's not going anywhere until he gets $500. And Martin Harvey's like, hell no, he's not getting anything, and tell him like shit happens, like tough luck. And so he's get back on the boat.
I wouldn't want to listen to my dad if that's
No.
You see that guy like we're in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
We're on
Who
his
do you
turf.
think you are?
Yeah, dude. No, just give him the money and just you don't want that problem.
And so
you don't want that problem.
Yeah, so they leave, and then the pirates chase them and steal the boat.
Exactly like Captain Ron said would happen.
And
Exactly.
They're on the lifeboat, and they land in Cuba.
Yeah.
And he's like, we can't be here. Like, this is Cuba.
It's a non-friendly country or something like that. And
Well,
like they're walking around like it's fine.
The wife is like, I don't care. It's land.
They shot Good
dude.
Morning America.
That's it. Katie Couric or something was here. Like they shot Good Morning America. That's her reasoning for like, oh yeah, we're fine. Dude.
And as they realize the swab Ben goes over and sees the mast of their boat, and he looks and he realizes like, oh, it is our boat. Like they stole our boat and they brought it here. And then they go over and they start talking to their dad about like we could steal the boat back.
Yeah.
Like let's get our boat back.
Which makes sense.
And he's getting all like he doesn't want to do it. Like okay, we got to talk about like what are we gonna do? And then right as this is all happening, here comes this like 57 Chevy kind of car like barreling out of nowhere and rams into the bad guy's car and knocks it off.
Out.
And when it rams into the car, it knocks the left headlight out. And right then it cuts in and there's Captain Ron sitting in the driver's seat. Because every car that he drives is missing the left headlight, like he's missing his eye, which is super funny.
And I thought about that too because people were like, okay, because I saw one guy review it and he was like, all right, how does he just magically know where this boat is and stuff? And it's like it's got to be just in the way that Captain Ron like just goes from island to island in the Caribbean, knows more than he lets on.
Yeah,
probably knows. Okay, yeah, that guy, like, he's a pirate.
And if you're gonna steal a boat in like a U.S. territory, you're pretty close to Cuba,
where you get away from like. Yeah, just a lot of logical
reasoning
behind
unless
it.
you land like in Guantanamo.
Either that or he's following him.
Right.
They're in
like a dinghy
sailboat
or something like that. Yes. It's not going. It's not doing like 60 knots.
You ain't hauling ass taking them 4 months to get to America from Potato Island.
You're not Mach 1 there.
So then
you get your Benny Hill scene. Where the bad guys are chasing Captain Ron in the car.
You got like the old men that are laughing about how like the car coming back up and drive away, the car coming, go backwards down the road, and then the truck and then he's like, could you believe it? And the guy's like, no. And then right then it all happens again right in front of him in reverse, which is funny. And then like where they pointed out where he drives him down, he backs into the alleyway, and they shut off all the lights and it gets real dark in the alleyway, and then they cut to do a scene inside the car, and it's all lit.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
Everyone gets their own flashlight.
And it's in this moment when they're being chased that Captain Ron sends Martin Short to go put oil and to go start the engine.
Get it
on the boat, and I'll distract them. We'll run them around, and they pull into the alley to let them go by, and they start having. They start talking a little bit like, oh yeah, that was amazing, whatever. Oh, my dad could never do that. He's such a, like. And you could see it again in Captain Ron's face where he's like, oh, this is not good. Like,
this isn't what I meant.
Yeah.
I didn't mean for this to happen.
Heart of gold.
Yeah. It's just pulling on my heartstrings a little too much.
Yeah.
So they go back to the boat. The boat's running. They jump on, and Martin Short uses his tomfoolery to impress them all by swinging the mainsail out. With like when he fell off the boat earlier in the movie, and knocks a bunch of them off so they don't get on the boat. And then all his kids cheer and they're super happy, and they're running, and they get like a little ways away from the island, and the engine craps out because he forgot to put oil in it like he's supposed to.
Yeah.
So
this whole time, Captain Ron's feigning a leg injury.
Yeah, that's right.
That he
that's
fell.
Right. I forgot that already to happen.
He's like, I broke it.
Right when they run onto the boat.
You got to sail this, boss. You got to do it.
I broke it. It's broken for sure. No. And he's grabbing the radio that's not supposed to work, and he's like, "Hey, Coast Guard, these are tax-paying citizens out here. You gotta help us."
Which then Coast Guard follows, and they like. So what is it?
You don't know that.
No, you don't know that.
You got Kitty goes down to check on Captain Ron. And she's, don't worry, I took a Red Cross CPR first aid course. She's picking him up and moving him over to the bed. Yeah. And then she's like, okay, we got to get the patient onto the bed. And then we put a splint. Oh, man, I was supposed to put the splint first.
That's true. You are supposed to put the splint first.
Dragging like a broke leg person around a boat.
Captain Ron's like, yeah, it shows you know what you're doing.
Yeah,
We're good.
You're
doing all right.
It's fine, Kitty. Don't worry about it.
And then, so she gets back to the top and they're shooting at the boat. And they're like, hey, there's kids on this boat. And she grabs the flare. And
which Martin, we didn't talk about earlier where Martin Short.
Through the boat.
Yeah, he's going to shoot it at Captain Ron when he steals the beautiful chick away from him. And he's all like, no. And then he decides like, okay, I can't. He says, him. I might hit the girl.
Yeah.
And he's holding the gun now, the flare gun at his side, and his swab Ben just goes, hey, Dad. And he shoots the gun, and he's like, don't scare me like that. Like, don't scare me like that. I said hello.
Fire.
When I had a roommate and his wife. Yeah, because he's got to go down and get the flare off the boat. Yeah. And he's like, those things are crazy how bright they are. Yeah. Because that's the idea.
Yes.
But I had a roommate, and he ended up meeting this girl, dating her for a while. Then she moved in with us, and then she actually became his wife while we were living together. And like, we all three lived in this little like 750 square foot house together.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it was totally cool. Like, they were fine. They were great roommates. But I would like walk into the kitchen and she would scream like crazy. And I'm like, you know, I live here, right? Like, I've been here like all day. And she's like, no, I know. It was like all the time. It
used to scare the shit out of me. Like, we used to go to your house to watch Walking Dead and Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So every Sunday we were there. And like, we'd be in the living room. Yeah. And she'd walk
The house is all living room. It's 750 square feet.
And she'd like walk out of the bedroom and we'd be watching Game of Thrones for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, halfway, like the volume's not soft. Like, he had surround sound and everything. And we're sitting there, and then she'd walk out and be like, oh my God. And I'm like, we've been here for like 2 hours.
She would jump.
We're just hanging out.
And the dog went fucking insane when we got here.
No, dude, I swear I need to put a bell on all of my children and my wife, because it doesn't matter. Like, they're all home. I'm fine, but I'll be in a room. I'll be working on something. I'm focused. And I don't hear any of them.
Oh, your smallest one is like a tiny serial killer.
Yes, and my smallest one will just show up and be like, "Hi, Dad."
Hey,
and I'm just like, "Wah!" And like, or Sarah, my wife, will literally walk up and she'll put a hand on the back of my shoulder. She'll like, "Hey, I'm here." But every time she does it, I freak out. I'm just like,
it's like that when I'm in my in my streaming room, like in my office.
Yeah,
and I have my headphones on and I'm playing something on PS5, and my wife will come in the room.
My wife,
she'll tap me and I'm like, son of a bitch.
Yes, yeah.
She's like, I've been in here for like 10 minutes.
You know what's really scary? When I'm hanging out and somebody taps me on my shoulder.
Yeah, that's
because I live alone.
Stranger danger.
Just me in there. Good job there, me.
Yeah, right. When you live alone as long as I have, you're like, oh, there's somebody here. Hey, how are you? Are you gonna kill me now?
This ghost better be paying rent, otherwise, like,
make me a sandwich.
What house are you on?
And you know what that means? You got to go buy sandwich stuff and then come back and make it, because I ain't got no sandwich stuff. Or Postmates
sandwich.
Yeah, I got a fridge full of Diet Coke.
But the wife fires the flare.
My wife.
Martin Short's wife.
Martin Harvey's wife.
My Harvey's wife. Mrs. Harvey. She fires a flare.
Kitty Harvey.
At the pirates. And there's just this giant...
Yeah,
the water.
The water right in front of the boat is just like this massive like geyser of water.
And you're like, what the hell? And then it's like...
Martin Short goes, how much money did you spend on that?
and then you hear, this is the United States Coast Guard. And they're like,
it cuts over and it's the cutter, and the guy's got the massive gun on the front of the cutter, and it is so trained.
And the pirates are like, pew.
Yeah, they're like, well... See ya.
Yep. Bye. That's a funny story about like this British ship, and they were off the coast of Germany or something like that, and they're like
off the coast of how are you?
Yeah, and something like that, and they're signaling, and they're like, hey, like they see a vessel on the radar, like we need you to move, and like you need to move, and they're like, no, they call back and like, no, we're not moving, like this is something German waters, we're not moving, and then the Coast Guard comes back and they're like, no, we are this many gun ships. we will literally remove you from the face of the planet. You need to move your vessel. And the radio goes silent for a bit and he goes, well, we're a lighthouse. So
Idiot.
So take your chances.
It's kind of horrible, but it's fun to watch. Where like the Coast Guard and stuff messes
You talked
with
about
the
this the
Somali
first time, and I
pirates.
was watching these videos, and like, dude, all I heard in my head was America,
Dude,
fuck yeah.
Dude, they're in these like really long like wooden boats, and that's like they come from a mothership and they speed up to these ships and they take them over, like in Captain Phillips, where he's like, "I'm the captain now."
Right.
No, you're
But-
not.
Now what they've started hiring mercenaries to like be on these ships and stuff, and like the Coast Guard has been out there, the military has been out there like protecting these boats.
Yeah.
And these like ships will start coming and they'll fire. What they do is they fire warning shots. And just like in Captain Ron, where like right in front of the boat, like there's an explosion of water.
Yeah.
And dude, there's like this one where there's a boat and it's like kind of zigzagging. And you see the shots hitting like bam, bam, bam. And like it looks like mines going off in the water. That's how much water is kicked up.
Jeez, dude.
And basically what they're telling you is stop or we're going to hit you with these shots.
Everybody fuck off. A little.
And they don't stop.
Yeah.
And the next shot hits and just
And
wood.
they don't stop.
And everything. It's
Oh
like,
my
dude,
God,
like, what did
dude.
you think was gonna happen? You keep doing it. Like they're firing a massive gun, and they're not missing you. They're showing you at any moment you're dead.
They're missing on purpose.
Exactly.
You need to understand. Like
It's crazy.
Brian Regan has. Do you know Brian Regan, the comedian? He does.
I
he
get
does
that
a,
goodness in me.
Yeah, he does a he does a bit about Captain Phillips. He was like, that Captain Phillips guy was had a weird interaction. He's like, you're just around in a boat, and all of a sudden, those people aren't there anymore. Because he's talking about how the snipers took out the Somali fight. And he's like, you're just like, so what are you gonna do after? Oh. I love Brian.
That's
Regan.
But that's like when the Coast Guard shows up and Martin Short goes down to the bottom of the boat to tell Captain Ron,
Yeah.
and he's like jumping around like hell yeah,
Yeah.
And he's
That's
like,
a Coast Guard, baby.
and he's like, I'm a quick healer.
I believe in Jesus. That helps.
I believe in Jesus, and that always that gives you extra points.
And then he
seems
gets
to help.
and they're asking for the captain. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, we need to speak to the captain. And he's like, and he's like,
Yeah, because he goes to hand it to Ron.
and he's like,
That's you now, boss.
it's you now, boss.
Yeah.
And then so they're pulling into Miami and they have the boat all fixed up and all this stuff. And the yacht broker's like, as soon as they get here, we're gonna strip this boat for parts.
Which I'm like,
So-
Jesus, it's got to be worth something, though. Like,
Not
I
even
mean,
that, but like you don't even look at it.
yeah,
yeah.
But
yeah.
it's funny because like they're there and they're like, nope. They just-
Well, she says
right
like
back around.
the wife, you know, they've bonded as a family now. They're a unit. They're no longer like whatever. Although I wouldn't trust that daughter to be back around skeevy guys because she's a hooer.
she got scurvy.
But so she has the HIV, the high five.
Yep.
Hooer.
She is a hooer.
That's the nicest way to say that word. I feel like I could drop that like in a casual conversation and people would just like, what was that? I'm sorry. Oh, let's keep going.
Lady of the Night's another good one.
Lady of the night. Hooer.
Oh yes, you are
Yeah, she participates in the world's oldest profession.
Sounds like sounds like some brand of vacuum.
Yeah.
It's like it's a Hoover.
like a Hoover.
Yeah,
It's
like
a Hoover.
Basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're in Miami and they suddenly decide, all right,
Yeah, and they're coming back into dock and
turn
and
it around.
The wife basically says like, "What are we doing? Like, this is the happiest we've been in our whole life." And you get the feeling like this is what the uncle felt like when he disappeared on this thing.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like lived his life in the islands. But yeah, they decide like, forget it.
Let's be Captain Ron.
Like, yeah, let's go live our lives at sea and have a great time.
And then you
that's
get
what
the
they do.
the best part of the movie. Like they say their goodbyes to Captain Ron, and he promotes the
the kid-
son from swab to mate.
Yeah, he finally does. And the kid is like standing there and he's about to start crying because Captain Ron's leaving. And Martin Short is giving a monologue over the top of like the outro. And,
Yeah.
and he says, you know, and just as suddenly and and magically as Captain Ron came into our lives, he was gone.
Yeah.
And he gets like across this street and the kid yells, Captain Ron, and a bus, which I never understand in these movies. everything is like moving slow around this area. There's obviously a ton of people doing a lot of things, and a bus goes by at like 60 miles an hour, and it's like, what the?
An incredibly crowded docking area.
Where is this bus coming
everywhere.
from, and where is that the speed bus?
Yeah, it's Keanu Reeves.
Can't go below.
Help!
Keanu and Sandra.
John
just-
Wick's on there.
Yeah, and he grappling hooks this freaking bus.
Yeah,
Like,
he friggin' Mr. Beans it from
spider-
Rat Race.
Yes,
It just
yes,
grabs
that's
hold.
it.
Gone.
Just gone. Yeah.
he Spider-Mans this thing. Just yeah.
Yeah, and then it.
Oh, man.
So they're leaving on the boat. They're having a great time, and then it cuts, and there's like a little speedboat.
With a young couple on it.
And they're like, oh man, and the Harveys are leaving on the sailboat, all beautiful and everything. He's like,
Yeah.
oh man, honey, you think that could ever be us? And from in between them, looking like he's straight out of Miami
Yeah,
Vice.
Yes.
with his hair in a ponytail.
Yeah, and a
but with the
chain.
still with the eye patch.
I mean, t-shirt, blazer, like gold chain, looks like a yachting
Yeah,
salesman.
he's Don Johnson.
Yeah. Oh man, he pulls up and it's Captain Ron, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Hey, like, you don't need to worry about that.
We can do that.
Anything's
We're gonna get
happen.
it out because if anything's gonna happen, it's gonna happen out there.
Oh man, it looks like he forgot to throw lines, boss.
Yeah, because they ripped
all
the
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 stuff
cleat
from the
off
beginning
there.
of the movie
they
again.
ripped the cleat off the dock.
And they're leaving, and he's like,
yeah.
Captain Ron, don't you think you should get out of the way of that ship? And it's like a huge
like a battleship.
cargo ship or like a cruise ship. And he's like, nah, I'll get out of the way. Learn that driving the Saratoga.
We got the right of way or something.
Like the USS Saratoga? Like
I
just
mean,
like in the
dude.
beginning
the
all
movie
over
ends
again.
and it's them on a collision course with that boat.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
that's
never
it.
move.
That's the end of it. No. And well, like, and so that's why I definitely play up the theory that he knew exactly what he was doing the whole time. So
Seems
they'd be
like it.
You don't want to go to the shitty island that has nothing on it. Let's go to the one that has burgers. Let's go and like have fun and make it
Go
a
to the
party.
one that has gorillas.
Yeah, and then like he's like, "Oh,
I
you're
think,
aiming for that other island.
I
I'm
think
gonna
every
go.
island down there has gorillas. That's why you stay on the path.
Let's stay on the path. Just keep going." But then he's like, "Oh, we're gonna go to this other island." He's like, "No, I'm gonna go to the one that has my girlfriend on it, and we're just gonna go find her for a
Pretty
little
soon,
bit."
pretty soon, Captain Ron, you'll learn just as I did. There's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path.
Oh,
That's
man.
a great movie that we need to do too, because The Matrix. That's,
Yeah.
that's woo.
Yeah, we have to. We should really talk about like the cultural significance that had the sale on leather jackets after those movies came
Or
out.
just the use of slow mo in
Through
movies.
the roof.
Yeah, bullet time.
Yeah, bullet time.
Bullet time. That was a great. The Matrix game was pretty good. You should stream that one on the PS2.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't say good. I'm glad you said pretty good.
It's pretty good. No, definitely not.
Because one of them's good and one of them is shit. But I'll play both of them. Fuck it. We got to find it, though. I have Revolutions. I don't have Path of New York.
Oh man, I never played Path of New. I played Revolution. Anyways,
Well, anyway,
walk us out of here. Tyler.
thank you guys for tuning in again for our second go round of Captain Ron. I hope you enjoyed it as much this time as. Oh wait, you didn't hear the first one. I hope you enjoyed it. We did, definitely. I know we kind of meandered about. It's hard to remember what we've talked about, what we haven't in this episode as the last episode, what we covered, what we didn't.
I'm
We hit all
impressed
the-
we still had stuff to laugh at.
We hit
though.
all the high points.
Yeah, I love it. It's a great movie. Definitely go watch it. It's
Yeah.
very funny. It's
Yeah.
very enjoyable.
Originally, we did this as the same week that we did Summer
There
Rental.
was Summer Rental and this back to
And I
back.
was saying that these are my new barometers for if a movie's good or not.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, is that movie worth watching? And it's like, is it better than Captain Ron?
It's good.
You should watch it.
Yeah, you
if it's
can watch
worse
it.
than Captain Ron, it's like, you don't have to watch it.
It's right in the middle. You're right. Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Because
So.
there's nothing that's bad about Captain Ron.
No.
Like but it's not like, oh my God, my favorite movie's Captain Ron. Like, that's not going to
Yeah.
be it.
Good point.
It's definitely one of those movies where if someone says, hey, you guys want to watch Captain Ron? I'd be like, yep,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
let's watch Captain Ron.
It gets a solid like 6.57 out of 10.
That's right.
It's a great movie.
That's right. That's a good point.
Definitely fun. But thank you again for watching. Check us out on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitter. We're on Twitter?
No.
X, excuse me? No, not
no,
X.
not X.
We're not on Twitter because
Yeah,
that
what do we
doesn't
have to tweet
exist.
out?
We are on X, but I haven't paid attention to that account in years. But I should.
And
probably.
we've only been around a year, so
Tiki tiki
Well,
talkies.
I had it before this. Before we
There
started
you go.
doing this show here in Miami.
there you
but
go.
different show.
Okay.
Tiki tiki talkies.
And we're
Yeah,
on the
check us out on
TikToks,
Tiki Taki. Excuse me, I just the Sunny D is like creating some
coming back.
burpages.
Coming
Sunny
back.
day.
It's delicious
Damn.
coming up too. But yeah, please like, comment, subscribe, turn on that notification bell on YouTube, or check us out on all the streaming platforms for podcasting. Hit us up with any comments. I know I am a broken record. I repeat myself all the time, but we really appreciate any suggestions you've got, anything you're nostalgic for that you want to hear about.
Yeah.
Let us know. I'd love to do it. I'd love to bring the audience what they want to hear instead of just the three dummies here coming up with the same things all the time and, talking about movies we love. I did see a really funny meme that I don't know if I mentioned to you guys already, but it said Blazing Saddles will be on TV this coming Saturday night. It's been edited to be on TV. It'll be on from 8 to 8:07 p.m.
Oh, boys.
It's just, oh, man, it's such a funny movie. And I was talking to my best friend about it when he was calling to talk about some stuff for the show, actually.
Yeah.
And he was saying, like, we need Mel Brooks. Like, we need him back.
Yeah.
We need him making movies again. And I think they are making some. Like Spaceballs 2 or something like that.
Yes, they're doing Spaceballs 2. Yep, you're right.
Crazy.
Oh, we got to do the original Spaceballs before that comes out.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, like timing-wise for sure.
Yeah.
But please let us know your thoughts.
Why we need you.
Check us out on
Yes.
Spotify, on Shopify, and on Etsy. The Shopify account is Nostalgialand podcast.com.
Yep.
I had it, man. Why'd you have to ruin it? I had it.
Sorry, jeez.
Or Nostalgialand shop on Etsy, right?
Yes. Correct.
We got some great products. Matt's holding the cup. Check out Sunny D vodka seltzers if you can find them. They're delicious. They are not sponsoring us yet, but they are so good that we would love it.
We're
Working on
aiming
that.
for it.
Oh yeah, and I gotta find. I love the orange one, but I saw on vacation. I talked about it last week that there is other flavors out there. I gotta find them. I gotta find them and bring them in.
I'm happy with just the original.
Got to tell
Sunny
your
D.
guy
It's
at
so
the liquor
good.
store, hey, let's get some variety.
But yeah, definitely, we appreciate you guys. We hope you enjoy the show as much as we enjoy sitting around putting it together for you guys.
Hell yeah, yeah.
Yep. So I hope you're having a great summer so far. It's hard to believe how fast it's moving, but we will see you next time. Until then,
I'm Matt.
I'm Trey.
and I'm Tyler. Cowbunga.